Coming up next, 3 fragrances that I absolutely love that a lot of people hate. Hate's a strong word, but let's put it this way. A lot of people, when they smell them at first, they're not exactly feeling it. But I implore you, if you try these and give them a chance, and you love niche fragrances, they will become some of your favorites. Stay tuned to find out what they are coming up next. Welcome back, everybody, to Joel the Nose. And today I am here, as you can see, in my home studio slash office slash perfume laboratory. I'm actually working still on a bunch of home creations right now, come up with some good ones, but still tinkering. So let's get right into this. Today's topic, I'm going to give you 3 fragrances from my personal collection that, well, how should I say it? I love them and a lot of people hate them. And when I say hate them, again, I don't necessarily mean hate. Hate's a strong word, but they're just not necessarily ones that people, when they smell them for the first time, sometimes the reaction's like, it's like when people smell a really strong oud or a pungent oud for the first time, they're kind of taken aback. So these are fragrances I think that for a lot of people require some adjustment period. For me, all 3 of these were love at first smell. I think that's just because your nose evolves over time. If I had smelled these years ago when I was starting my fragrance journey, probably would not have loved them initially. I think this is something as your nose develops, just like your palate develops with wine or food or anything else, I think it becomes more, I would say, for lack of a better word, more sophisticated. But again, each nose is different. We all have our own preferences. And so these are 3 that I have talked about before, but want to just kind of bring and highlight today. So the first is from Eastward de Parfum. This is Ultra Cuidant. Ultra Cuidant. You can see the name a little bit better there. Ultra Cuidant. Of course, I'm sure I'm butchering the name, but don't go crazy about that. So I love the bottle. Love this house. Very, very French house. Very French niche perfume house. And I'll kind of hold it up so you guys get a good look. What is this one? This is one of my absolute favorites. And unfortunately, I'm very low on this bottle. But this is a fragrance that is a powerhouse patchouli, tobacco, oud, and labdamen. So if you like those notes, and think about those are really hardcore, resinous, oozing, sexy, dark, mysterious. It's also got saffron, which I love, gives that kind of like a little bit of a sweet kick at the top, along with some orange blossom that makes it open up a little bit when you first put it on the skin. So it's not like just sitting on you like a heavy blanket. But this is, it's funny. I gave it to somebody the other day to smell, and they're like, immediately like, oh, it smells like, what did they say? It says, I don't know, it smelled to them like kind of, too animalic, almost like, from your rear end or behind. To me, again, I could see where someone would say that, but it is just, and maybe that's because it's got some really strong oud in there, but this also has a beautiful rose note. So you've got all these really dark masculine notes and elements, and then you've got these like a saffron and this beautiful rose in the heart notes that just as it's transitioning into this really dark, rich bottom as it sits on your skin, it's magnificent. So one of my absolute favorites. I am very low on this, so I use it sparingly, but I did use it on a date, I don't know, maybe about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And this person who I'd gone out on a number of dates actually had never complimented any of my fragrances, and this was the first one she did. And I wore some of my big compliments getters like Desired. I had worn on some of the dates Desired. I had worn Cologne. I had worn New York Intense by Fragrance Du Bois. I had worn Zizan by Ormond Jane. Those are like my go-tos, some of my go-tos, and this is the one that got the compliment. So anyways, Beautiful, beautiful fragrance. So next I'm going to go with one that's the oldest in my collection here so far of these three, and that is L. L from Arquiste, one of my favorite bottles. I love their bottles. Again, just, the caps are thick. Let me just show you the cap. So you got the A for Arquiste at the top there. And they're just, it's almost like a little hand grenade. You feel like you like, woo, chuck this thing. This is a fragrance, again, that scares a lot of people. When I'm in Osme Perfumery and people ask me for things that I like that are different than typical fragrances, this is probably the first one I almost always take people to. I've described this before as what I think this is a dirty barbershop fougere fragrance. It's got that kind of classic barbershop smell, but it's way more dirty, animalic, and sexy than a typical barbershop fougere. And why is that? Again, let me just kind of hold that up so you can see it there. This is a fragrance that it's got this kind of beautiful rosemary note, but then it's got geranium, cinnamon, oak moss, and then this vetiver and castoreum. That castoreum is an animalic note. It is one that is used for many, over 100 years probably in fragrance and perfumery. And it's got that smell. This is that animalic smell. I think even more so than Outrecuidant, which is more of a strong pungent oud. This is more of that because that castoreum really gives it that animalic smell. So, can be, I think, a little bit difficult or off-putting at first, but when you really let it sit on your skin, and especially if you're a fan of barbershop fougere fragrances, which I am. It's to me because it reminds me of my dad growing up. He wore a lot of those classic barbershop fougeres. It reminds me of being in a barbershop literally when I was a kid getting my hair cut. So I have fond memories of those fragrances. But this is, again, this has, in the notes, it has a fougere accord, and there's no doubt you can smell that fougere accord. It's also got patchouli, it's got oak moss. As I mentioned, it's got that castoreum note. It's got cardamom, it's got honey, it's got clary sage. So there's a lot going on here. It's like really, again, just call it the dirty barbershop fougere. That's, to me, the perfect description of it. And give it a try. When I give it to people when I'm at Osme, and I would say probably 9 out of 10 people at first, like, they go like this. But it's one of those fragrances that if you put it on your skin and you like something a little bit more daring and a little bit more animalic, because the reason why animalic notes are used like castoreum, or ambergris, or, some of these, what can be considered almost fecal type smells, is because that's something that's human beings resonate with, especially when it comes to kind of like, being intimate and sexual matters. That smell of the body and body odor, although at first glance may repel us, actually attracts us. So it's why it's used. It's why these notes are used. One of the main reasons. They're also great at blending. Those animalic notes are great at blending other notes and help brighten and bring out the strength of other notes. But all right, that leaves me with my last one, and that is, of course, one I've talked a lot about recently, the newest addition to my collection, and that is Extrait Noir from Elixir Extrait Noir. Talked a lot about this, but this is a beautiful kind of olibanum, which is just, rose, patchouli. Excuse me. Sorry about that. All right, so I was starting to describe Outrecuidant again. So this one, again, is going to be this really dark leather. It's like a dark night. This is like a deep, dark night. They describe it as a black sun. Love that description from the house. It's, patchouli. It's got saffron, geranium. It's got absolute vanilla. It's got castoreum. So you've got castoreum, some more animalic notes again. It's got a very strong leather note. It's got benzoin, which is kind of like a similar to vanilla, ginger and thyme at the top, which again helps it open up so it's not just boom on your skin. That really helps, start this fragrance journey on your skin where it does have some freshness and citrus at the top. It's also got a really strong camphor note. Camphor, if you don't know it, it's kind of like a very woody, resinous note that's very smoky, very kind of like, woody, smoky fragrance. Also got cinnamon. So this thing's got so much going on. But, again, this is one of my favorite fragrances. I've talked about it in the last, 6 months or so that's come out. I wear it all the time. I wear it on dates. I also recommend it a lot when I'm at Osme, when people, again, want to try different fragrances that are outside their realm of normal. And it's challenging. Most people, they smell it at first, and I'll admit, it's challenging for them. All three of these are challenging fragrances for a lot of people. Just give them a chance. Like anything else, I think the purpose of trying fragrances that are way outside of your normal realm of comfort is that it stretches your mind. It stretches your nose. So you may not like these three because they may be a little bit too strong for your tastes. But what will happen is it stretches you. So next time you may try something that's, maybe not this far down the spectrum, but you'll try something further along than you would have tried before, because that will seem not so daring anymore. That will seem not so out of your realm. Whereas maybe it would have been before you had kind of tried some of these more really out there fragrances. So anyways, that's my, reasoning, and that's my, analysis of why I love these fragrances and why that I really recommend that you try them and really give them a real shot. I think you're going to find, especially for those of you who really love niche fragrances and different fragrances, you're going to love these three. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back soon, of course, with another video. I appreciate all your support as always. And peace, love, and perfumes.